guys, it's ASBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. And on the table today we have yet another Xiaomi smartphone in the form of the Xiaomi 6 Pro. Alongside it is the Xiaomi Mi A2 Lite, and that's a little clue as to where we're going with this because they are very, very similar. Like with the hundreds of Xiaomi phones that they've produced this year, but these two in particular, we'll get to the main difference between the two. So we're going to do a quick unboxing of it, show you a little bit around the phone, and of course talk about the specs and a kind of mini comparison to this one. So let's get straight to it. Right, so before we crank it open, let's just take a quick look around the box. We've got obviously the 6 Pro on the front. We've got 4GB of RAM on here and 64GB of storage. We've got a 5.84 Full HD Plus screen, so 2280 by 1080. I've got a dual rear camera, vertically positioned, which we'll get to. And just checking, the primary lens is a 12 megapixel f2.2 aperture. The secondary lens is a 5 megapixel f2.2 aperture, and the front-facing camera is a 5 megapixel with f2.0 aperture, 1080p at 30 frames a second across the two, and we have a 4000 milliamp battery. If you are interested after watching this video and going through and getting more information or indeed purchasing it, I will leave a link to this in the video description below and a little pinned comment as well at the top so you can get there nice and easy. But first off, let's get it unboxed. So we're going to slide down here like so. Everybody's favourite bit. And then of course we then have, it's going to drop. Oh, I'm so clumsy. Let's hope it's an absolute double whammy. Probably the worst unboxing you'll ever see. Right, so in dramatic fashion, that is your smartphone right there. We're just going to also peel off this little sticker here and on the front as well. Such a good sound. I'm going to have to go into rewind on that one. Right, so there you have it. It's a nice size for one-handed use. Straight away, that's the first thing I'm going to point out. So the 5.84-inch display works really, really well for that. A lot of smartphones nowadays are the phablet sort. They are 6 inches and up, and they are quite big and sometimes quite cumbersome to hold and use with one hand. Let's just power it on. And while we're doing that, we'll also see what else is in the box. So we have a little silicone case there, which is nice to see, and the manual as well. And we also have our, oh, hello. It's kicking off. We also have our charging cable, which is micro USB. Unfortunately, because this is a budget area, they will make some sacrifices. And we have our SIM tray ejector tool there. And we have our charging brick there as well. So we'll just put all that back. So the first thing you will notice is it's MIUI 9, which is over the top of Android 8.1. So it is Xiaomi's skin. I say this every single time I review a Xiaomi product that has MIUI. You either like it or you don't. There tends to be no real middle ground. And for those who don't, those people tend to go to the Google Play Store and download a launcher, a stock Android launcher or something like that. So although the phone doesn't feel too light, it does feel fairly premium. It is a plastic back, so that is just something to note. Again, for the price, a lot of phones do this. So we'll go through, set everything up. Okay, so I'm just going to do my fingerprint, see how good this is. So it's pretty quick to actually set up. Very, very quick. If it's that quick to actually use, impressive. Choose a theme, set up complete, nice and easy. Okay, so let's test that fingerprint sensor. Okay, so yeah, it's fairly reliable. There is a slight second delay over some of the top flagship phones, but it's fairly reliable and it will do a fairly good job. Very impressed with the display. Like I was with the Mi A2 Lite, for a budget phone, which this definitely is, having a Full HD Plus display, and it's very rich and vibrant, and as you can see, it's very sharp as well. You certainly can't see any pixels, and it really stands up pretty well. Also, it does come with a micro SD card slot for expandable storage. Another positive. I wasn't sure whether to say positive or plus, so I went positive. Word of the day. So as I mentioned, 4000 mAh battery capacity, which is very, very impressive. For such a cheap phone, considering the screen is smaller as well, battery life is going to be an absolute dream on this bad boy. It's fairly snappy. It is using the Snapdragon 625 chipset, which is kind of last year's best performing mid-tier phones, which was also seen in the Mi A1 of last year. And it's still going to be very, very snappy for general all-round performance. Gaming's not going to be quite as good as a Snapdragon 800 series, 845 for example, which is just going to blow it out of the water. But in terms of social media, light gaming, browsing the internet, it's going to be absolutely completely fine. Exactly the same as the Mi A2 Lite, and I'll get that out now just to compare the two for you, and you will notice that it's the same phone. One has MIUI, one has Android One, which is more stock Android, and that is the main real difference. They're obviously for different markets. Now, the one that they have sent me isn't actually a global ROM, but you can very easily install Google services onto here. So the Mi A2 Lite is just loading up here. So they are identical on the back. The only difference is you've got Android One text here on the Mi A2 Lite, whereas on here you don't. You just have like the Mi logo there. Fingerprint sensor, camera, all exactly the same positioning. Underneath you have your charging port and your speaker, and on the top you have a headphone jack, which is nice to see, and an IR blaster as well. Again, some people will enjoy that. Power on the side, volume rocker up and down, and then your SIM card tray there as well. Let's mix them up. You'll never know where we're going. And just to give you a rough idea of that difference in how the phone's going to look, this is MIUI, this is Android One, and like I said, this will come down to personal preference. So on here, for example, you don't have an app drawer, everything is just on your home screens, much like iOS. So it is quite easy for people coming from an iPhone, for example, whereas stock, obviously, you have that app drawer under there. You've obviously got your Google search bar at the top, which you can search through and stuff. But outside of that, these two phones are basically the same. Just do a quick camera test on here. I'm guessing we're going to get pretty much exactly the same performance as we saw with the Mi A2 Lite, which I was quite impressed with, to be honest, based on the price again. Yeah, so again, it's a fairly reasonable camera. It's not going to be a Google Pixel, it's not going to be a Samsung Note 9, but you're definitely not paying for that. And I said this again about the Mi A2 and A2 Lite, if you don't want to spend that sort of money on a smartphone, these cameras are still going to do a fairly reasonable job. I'm guessing sort of in low light situations, that's where you'll get a bit of a downgrade over some of the other premium smartphones. And I'll try and do some testing over the next couple of weeks, and I'll put them on my Twitter and Instagram, ASB_YT, so you can go and check them out if you so wish. Quick selfie test. So this, like with the Mi A2 Lite as well, doesn't have a portrait mode on the selfie, whereas the Mi A2 original does, but the all-round clarity is again pretty good. If there's heavy movement, it will struggle. I have noticed a couple of times, and again with the Mi A2 Lite, when there is movement in the photo or when you're taking a selfie and you do jar your arm around, it won't quite make allowances as well as some of the top flagship phones for that. So keep your arm still. All right. It also surprisingly has HDR as well, both in the rear dual camera and on the front-facing shooter. Let's just do a quick sound test. So I'm just going to go onto YouTube and you'll be able to hear the speaker. Top flagship smartphones so far in 2018, especially when you consider the price versus specs. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. So as you can see from that, again, exactly the same as the Mi A2 Lite. It is certainly not sound to shout home about, but at the same time, if you're not going to go top volume on it, it's not going to be too bad. A couple of little tiny extra specs. Adreno 506 as well is the GPU. PPI density of 432, and all of the compatible network bands are again on the link in the video description for the actual product. I will now run a quick benchmark test so you can see exactly how it stacks up, both Antutu and Geekbench 4. That's pretty much it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Is it something you're interested in? Do you think it's good value for the money? Which one do you prefer, the Mi A2 Lite or the Redmi 6 Pro? Like I said, I will leave a link to this in the video description below if you are interested in going through and checking it out in more detail. Like and share if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit that notification bell if you're new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video on anything tech, pretty much daily content here on this platform. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. ASBYT. Peace out.